Alright, so this is the walkthrough of my Angel Dust and Drag build book, as well as everything that I told the judges in the pre-judging room. So starting off, just flipping through the book, showing you guys the cover. Then I wanted to include some really obvious, clear reference photos of myself and the character. Then I also wanted to make very clear what I did and didn't make, so that the judges would not be judging me for anything that I did not make. I did make most of the costume, though, apart from, just about the shoes. Then you really don't need to include this, but I did include swatches. This is just a little page giving some explanation about why I chose the character and a little bit about my cosplay skills. So it says that I've been cosplaying for 4 years, also explains that this is only my third time competing, and I chose this character because I like him. It would make me try some new things. I really haven't made a dress before, and the whole costume took about 2.5 months of work, but that time was spread out in different ways. Then I did the costume top to bottom in my explanation, so starting with the wig. It was a lace front, and then I added wefts, teased it, heat styled it, and glued in the pink parts. I was planning to use a little tool to tie in individual hairs, as you should for a lace front, but it got stuck in my thumb and I had to get it removed, so I changed gears after that. Then on to the sewing portions. The bodice is something that I was very proud of. Especially the inside here, you can see it's very clean. That is because it is lined. I use things like interfacing and boning for structure, and there was a lot of hand sewing involved. I think this is really one of the most impressive parts of it, other than the skirt. Then coming on to the bodysuit, I should also mention anything that I did sew, I patterned 100% myself. This was actually freehanded, so I did not measure the pattern pieces, I just drew them out. There's a back zipper. For the pink painted portions, I taped everything off, and then I used a makeup sponge to get a really even coating on there. Then the gloves, I'm not as proud of these. I don't think they're the most exciting part, but I am happy that I made my own gloves rather than just going out and buying some cheap ones. The main method for making gloves like this is just to trace your hand onto the fabric and sew around it with some extra seam allowance, making sure that you have stretchy fabric, obviously. Then onto the skirt. This is probably the thing that took me the most amount of time. This was so time-consuming. So again, patterned everything. That skirt is lined. It has double fold hems to be super clean. And then every single one of those hearts that you see is not only an applique that I sewed on with a satin stitch, but it is also beaded by hand. And each one took about 4.5 hours, and in total I used 10 tubes of bugle beads. So that's the sewing portion, the costume itself, and then I wanted to include a couple of photos of the work in progress stuff, as well as the techniques and the difficulties that I had with this costume. So the main thing that I personally find funny is the fact that it was originally meant to be a dress and I put a zipper in the back. Then I realized my zipper didn't work, so I had to completely take everything apart and add panels. But then I didn't like the way that bodice looked, so 2 weeks before con, I completely remade the bodice, and that is the bodice that you saw at the beginning of the video. And then I've heard about some competitors cheating with having bought costumes from other cosplayers and using them, so I included work in progress photos to make it clear that this is my own work. And then these are just some images of what I sketch out to pattern a costume when I start. They're not fancy, and I find that very funny, so I thought you guys might enjoy that. And that's all.